Big vibes, we're back. Stay blessed to say that. This is the boy Black Finesse. Honestly, it's been a minute since I made a reaction on Maximum Football. Maximum Football we talked about last year. I'm surprised they're taking this long to even come out. I thought the game was supposed to have been out by now, truthfully, I guess, but I guess they weren't done. But Maximum Football is something I'm really thinking about playing, truthfully, because being able to develop your own plays, it's pretty dope. All right, let's see what they're talking about.
Maximum Football released their beta today on PC, so we can finally see where this game is
PC.
at gameplay-wise. They also released a really nice trailer as well, which we'll watch right here. Now, I will say, when I saw this trailer today, I was kind of blown away. I was not expecting it to look this good. I've been covering this game for the past year or so, and it's gotten some delays,
I see why they
some
took longer.
pushbacks, but finally, we're getting a real good look at gameplay. Now, I will say that some of the shots in the trailer, much like all the other sports,
are those Zenith helmets?
Always exactly look like that in game. The cinematic shots, the up-close shots, you usually
got the
don't
Fletcher
get
Cox
exactly that clean in game, but the trailer was pretty good. It showcased some good gameplay, some animations, it showcased some of the customization and stuff like that was in the game.
Look how they run.
Seeing the trailer, I was really hyped to go download this and give it a try. It is an open beta, so if you have a PC that's capable of playing modern games, you can download this on Steam and play it.
It's pretty dope.
Not on console yet. I believe it's going to release on PC at some point later on in the year first, and then it's coming to consoles later. It is a free-to-play game, which is probably the biggest thing about this game, and it's also on the Unreal Engine 5, but keep in mind, it is still an indie game. This is not a AAA game. It's not a Madden. It's not a 2K. It's not a College Football 25. I have that kind of budget, but for an indie game, this looks like the best indie football game that we have had. It actually is going to have a pretty good amount of features at some point later down the road, but for the open beta, which you'll see here shortly, I'll have some gameplay and I'll mess around with the customization. The only thing that was available in the beta was just kind of like regular play now. You have two teams you can play with, and they opened up some of the customization for players and teams just to give you like a taste of what's there to work with.
That don't look bad. It's like
looked amazing. I was blown away. Now playing the game obviously feel a little bit different.
Hey, Madden, that's a pick.
Again, I'm gonna probably say it a lot in this video. This is an indie game, so if you're expecting it to look
like
okay,
this is real.
Title,
okay, I give not the 10 feet verticals.
Like now visually, I think the game actually looks really good. I don't have any problem with the
graphics.
Look,
it don't look bad.
The graphics for this game should be a hang up for anybody. They look pretty darn good to me. Now gameplay is gonna be a little different. I will say, the two things that's probably gonna be hard for most people to get over with this game is, number one, if you're into licensed games, if you want real players, real teams, this game isn't going to have that. Now, you can create them to some degree in the game because the customization suite is going to be about as deep as any football game has ever had. You can upload custom logos. You can design players to kind of look, mostly how you want, have their names and all that. But if you actually want real teams, real players, this isn't that kind of game. Now, the other hang-up, I think, for people is going to be the gameplay in certain aspects, mainly the movement, because it is a really stiff movement. Again, this isn't going to feel like a AAA title. However, this is definitely the best playing indie football game that I've played. I've played a few of them, and this is way better than the old Maximum Football. If you can remember that, the OGs of the channel, I covered that a few years back, put up a little clip of that on the screen right here. This is way better than that. This is worlds different than that. Much, much better gameplay than
this
that.
This look like Madden 15, 6,
However, movement is
not even that, like Madden 13.
Feels a little too slow at times, while other instances are really sped up. Like some of the tackles seem super sped up.
That's pretty good to RB.
Guys kind of being shot out of a cannon almost. Ball carrier moves definitely aren't good. The jukes and spins, you can't really do much with them. But again, this is a beta. This is a very much so a work in progress. Not similar to how Madden betas are, where it's mostly
this is the current one.
And also keep in mind, a game that's been developed for years and years and years, so it's much further along. This is a game that's been in development for about 2 years, and it's going to be releasing somewhat soon. But this is
I understand why they took long now, because I'm like, wait, don't. But my thing is, don't kind of advertise it if you're not gonna.
The running in general is just it's a little bit different than what I'm used to, and again, like I know it's an indie game, so it's not gonna feel as polished in those areas as some of the other games will. But running just in general, like running the ball, for example, felt kind of useless. Like you might pop off a big play here or there, but it just seemed very much just by chance, by luck, because you kind of just maneuvered kind of through people, and they didn't get a tackle animation, and you were able to break out one. But a lot of times, you don't really feel like you have much control running the ball in general, trying to steer through a certain hole,
because it's like
pixelated,
like
right after
glitch
the handoff
based
as well. Now, all of that aside, I'll say the passing felt pretty good though. Ball trajectory was really good. I liked the passing overall. Pass timing as well was kind of nice. Felt a little slow at times, but it was one of those things where you kind of had to try to throw people open. I felt that you had to time where he would be.
Just ran a seam and threw it in the middle of coverage.
Pressing it and the ball coming out immediately. I think the wide receivers also have a good play on the ball. They make good attempts to go and get the ball.
That's
the
a
only
pick.
downside to the passing is there is no pass leading, so you can't lead left, right, up, down. It just kind of goes where it goes.
He just throws where
receiver, you can't lead them one way or the other. I think the route running as well overall looked pretty clean, but I think really the downside is for me, like I said, going back, the movement just being stiff, not having enough control, the running not being really that great to me, but also the defense feels very random, but not in a good way. Like they really don't react that well the majority of the time. Every once in a while, a defender will make a crazy play on the ball, and it looks nice, but more times than not, it feels like they just don't really even go for the ball. Like you could throw it in a double coverage, and you have a much better chance of the ball just landing right in your receiver's arms because the defenders will be near it, but they won't really go up to make a play on it. But every now and then they will, which is nice, but it just feels very
that's
random,
a classic.
and they're not making plays on it enough, in my opinion.
Did he make it?
He didn't.
Oh, he missed.
At Amica, we know it's more than a car or a house.
I know y'all remember that game NFL Fever when the arrow would do that. That's a classic. They brought that back.
You just have to play more and get used to. There are definitely a lot of suctions in this game, a lot of suction tackles.
This is like shit,
which is to be expected.
This is like
indie game. It's still much
NFL 2002.
Probably a year or two down the line from being where we really
didn't even tackle. Like, wow.
And I know
they got some work to do, man.
We don't want an animation-based game, but that's just not how it works. You need to animate the game. You know, animations are not a bad thing. It's more so how do they interact with each other, the physics aspect of it. It's kind of two sides of the same coin. You need physics and you need animations. This game just has a lack of animations right now, which is probably to be expected, but if they can build that up over the next couple of years, then I think you're going to have a gameplay that'll play a lot smoother, because a lot of times now you try to go into an interaction with two people and sometimes nothing happens at all. Like somebody just won't even attempt to tackle. He'll just kind of run past a guy.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
They will make a tackle, but it's kind of like they just meet and they fall flat, and it just looks clunky because there's not a clean, smooth animation there to take place.
They're working on it, man. They
on defense and why sometimes they're not making these
touchdown
plays on the ball.
Hey.
The animations that are there, I think there are some that look good. There are some tackles that you'll see here and there that do look really, really good, but that only happens maybe like 20% of the time, whereas the other 80%, they're kind of like clunky.
They run like little kids, bro.
There's not much of an interaction actually happening, and again, you know, some of the running and some of the movement being as stiff as it is,
they be booting that joint high. Good lord, that goes over the net.
More animation. That's probably the biggest piece of feedback, but I'm sure they know that. Like, they're not dumb. They know that that's something they need to build up, you know, a good animation library over the years. Also, I feel like there's not a lot of momentum and weight.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to take another year,
bro. A lot of times
bro.
you'll just meet a player and they'll just fall flat. Like, they'll just hit each other and they hit the ground, whereas the big guy won't necessarily fall forward, or there's a lot of times
you can't even use
like
or tackle.
Momentum
that
going
sucks.
forward, and somebody will just come from behind you and you'll just suction to him and fall down. Like, little things like that make the gameplay a little rough at times, but, you know, overall for an indie game, though, this is so flatly, the best gameplay I've ever seen in an indie football game, and it's honestly
didn't even go for it. That's it. They didn't.
You know, this isn't something that you could enjoy playing. Now, there's no commentating in the game right now. I think they said that's something that's going to come later. They said when the game does eventually launch, it'll have a dynasty mode, which is cool. It'll later get a franchise and a career mode. So there are some cool aspects of the game. Being free to play is definitely a big thing. It's going to have college and pro style, so you can play with either rule set. You can play a dynasty mode or a franchise. When that eventually comes, we don't know when that's coming. We just know at some point they're going to launch the game later this year, and it will have dynasty. So I think the game definitely leans more towards the college side than the pro side, because it seemed like they're focusing more on that first. But again, a couple of years down the line, I think the goal for this game is, you know, to be a decent alternative where you'll have a dynasty, a franchise, a career mode. And the other really good thing about the game is the customization. It may be the deepest.
The customization looks tough. It's just the gameplay needs a lot of work. I'd rather you focus on the gameplay first than the customization.
There are some limitations on
like I said, I mean, they got more to work on.
Whereas in this game, there won't be any limitations on that. You can create whatever player name you want. You can create whatever types of teams you want and all of that. Now, looking at the editor here, they did put some of that stuff in the game. I think it's going to be much deeper than this when it drops, but they kind of let us play around with it. There's, you know, a bunch of different colors you can use. There's different jersey styles, different number styles that you can kind of play around with. There's a ton of equipment in the game right now. I think there's going to be more of that, I would expect, when the game drops, but they even have some licensed equipment like some Adidas stuff.
You know, got military helmets, yeah.
Create teams in the beta. You can also create players. They've got, you know, a decent amount of player faces. I think they got 50 in the beta. There's also a ton of different like face paints you can put on your players. There's like 60 different styles of face paint.
Oh, the hair is also like the same at the moment.
They've definitely, you know, again, for an indie game, they're trying to do as much as they can here. They're giving you a lot of stuff here. So I do think if you have PC, you should try it out on Steam, because the beta is free. Check it out. I think the game still has a ways to go.
He's smiling through the helmet.
Game, I think this is in a pretty good spot, and it can only get better from here. But, you know, if you're used to AAA AAA games,
They don't look too bad though. Like they're coming along pretty far.
But if you're someone that says, hey, you know what, I don't really want to play EA products, I don't want to support them for whatever reason, this might be a decent alternative for you.
It might be the alternative. Once Maximum Football comes out, I'm trying it out.
Customization, I think
EA don't allow you to create your own plays.
Things that'll have people interested in this game. I don't know how big the audience is going to be for it, especially with the college football game coming out now next month. But I do think there is an audience for this game, and I do think with support, this game definitely could get better down the line. The gameplay could, get better. I mean, if we're comparing it to the old Maximum Football till now, I mean, it took a pretty big leap in terms of gameplay. So you give it another couple years, maybe it does take another leap. It's on the Unreal Engine, so I think possibilities are kind of endless there once they build up more animations.
Yeah, it's gonna take us some time to build this game, bro.
As long as the game modes are good as well, and the customization is what they say it's gonna be, I think there'll be some reasons to definitely play this game, especially if you just don't really like the way EA games are. This might be the game for you. So
it's just EA has just been bullshitting us, bro. I get the rights crap, bro, but then like they spent so much money on animations that they can't even get rights to players.
But I definitely.
But now I feel like they spend more money on freaking abilities, bro.
Disappointed if that means anything to you. So I would definitely check it out.
This is what you call super football. Make sure y'all comment and subscribe down below. It's your boy Black Finesse. We're out.